afternoon, everyone. This is the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission meeting that was postponed from a previous on the 9th due to lack of a quorum for all kinds of reasons. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, ma'am.
All commissioners are present except for Commissioner Heller.
And report on the posting of the agenda.
The agenda was posted October 20th at City Hall.
We'll move on to the minutes. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes, and are there comments? Any exceptions? Questions? If not, it was in the packet. If not, I call for the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we can move on to public comments. No public. With no one else here, I will move on to legislative action. I understand that the RDB mural presentation is postponed for now.
Yes.
Gandolfino, the second item on the Palm Springs self-storage, that's postponed also.
Correct.
We can move to this.
The city entry sign
Is that what?
is also postponed. The design team has made some changes, and they will be back to you in November with the concept changes that have been made, and seeking your approval for those changes.
Yes.
The question, are they working within a budget?
Yes.
We talked about this 80,000.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Within that budget. Have they given up the idea of water?
Yes, they have.
They have. And I spoke with one of the members of the team the other night, and they seem quite pleased and not actually pressured to have changed it so drastically that we won't like it. So,
Another question, is there any response on the letter to the city council that you sent? Or is it too early?
not that I know of. When did that go out? About 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
The letter went out in September, and there has been no response.
No response. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next is art collection maintenance. Do we want to move to take the people that are here?
They're going to be under added starters.
Oh, both?
Remember on added starters, you have to vote to put it on.
We have to vote for
Well, you have to do a motion to put it on because it's of an emergency nature, added starters are.
the guy in the green shirt's an emergency.
But it's okay. You have to do the motion.
Okay.
I think we can run through a couple of these quickly.
Art collection, maintenance, and restoration issues. The chair on that is Beth or Leona?
Well, I'm sorry I've been gone the last several months, but I looked at Fowler's restoring of the Kennedy bus today, and it looks very nice. Looks like he's done a good job on that. I couldn't see in the minutes that we authorized him to go ahead with anything else. I know he did do a little work on Charlie Farrell,
Charlie
didn't
Farrell.
he?
Yes, he did.
Informal sort of work on that. But we've not given him any charge. You know, he requested at one time being considered for evaluating each of the pieces, and we've not taken any action on that.
That is correct. If I may give you an update, first just to go over the JFK bust, it is complete, and I do have a photograph that we're passing around now, and here's two more that you can have. And it turned out really well. Jeffrey did clean up Charlie Farrell a little bit out of courtesy. He was just doing that. As far as the maintenance and conservation work and an inventory of the other pieces. I did speak briefly to Palm Desert, which is what we last talked about, to get local names of people that may be in that arena to do that sort of work. And I do have now a total of 4 names, including Jeffrey Feller. With that, my next step will be to prepare a request for proposals that will cover all of the aspects of what we may be looking for that inventory. I hope to have that back to you in November, or at least in draft form, as to what that maintenance, or, what that proposal would look like. And then that could go out to those folks who may be interested in performing this sort of work.
So you have 4?
4 names, yes, I do.
4 names of people that are doing this.
That are qualified, let's say, to do it, and who may have an interest in doing that sort of work. So that's where we are right now. Okay.
Do you know if we got anything back, or have we done anything about the issue of the water and getting the city to
Around
change?
the JFK?
Well, around all of them.
Not around all of them. We primarily focused on JFK to address it because it was under restoration, but the groundsmen have changed out the sprinklers to bubblers, and they greatly minimize the water that would spray. Now, naturally, if it does get extremely windy, which it can, there will be times where it will get wet. However, I am trying to get a meeting with the Parks and Rec director to talk about the new maintenance person that has been hired to maintain the fountain and some of the other pieces, and we will have that under a regularly scheduled watch. In other words, he can go there on a weekly or every other week and at least dust it, polish it up a bit. I don't think it requires any special type of material other than a cloth to make sure that the water stains are removed, if there are any.
Are you talking about the fountain on Aleo?
Yes.
It looks horrible.
Yes, it does. I realize that, and that's part of my discussion with him will be about that fountain, the calcium buildup. I noticed that the wands seem to move real slow, if at all. So I realize that's a concern, and that's one of our topics of discussion.
So he'll be going out regularly? Like there'll be a regular schedule?
They are regularly cleaning, the water portion of it, the chlorination and all of that.
But it's the calcium deposit that looks
but
so bad.
that portion of it, I am not sure if that falls under his criteria for work, or if that's something we have to have specially done. I think it was done before. Maybe Paula can update us on that. How long ago was that?
Parks and Rec recently hired somebody to go out and power clean it. You mean the white that's running down on the black
Right.
mast? Yeah, they did that maybe about 6 months ago.
It has been a while, so we're going to address that. I hope within in the next few days.
And it probably won't be under regular maintenance. It's probably something they hire somebody to come in and do it.
We have discussed other ways of controlling it by, there's treatments and things of that sort that can be done to the water, but nothing has ever moved forward from that point because it's a continuing problem. It's been that way since the fountain was unveiled.
And it's in such a prime spot.
And it will continue
A lot
to do
of
the same
traffic.
thing. I mean, we'll need to have it completely cleaned and decalcified like every couple of months or so until,
About every 6 months.
unless we can come up with some way of filtering or doing something with the water to get the calcium out. I have
Is
no
there
idea,
any,
I'm not an
any
expert.
type of like water softening
Well,
filter system?
that was one of the suggestions that was made at one point in time. I'm a little hazy about it. I just remember that in discussing it, we were looking for alternative measures so we wouldn't have to be faced with this kind of cleaning. And until it's clean, it's like, it looks really bad in month 5. So for a month until month 6, it looks like it does right now.
We could paint it all white.
Well, we've discussed that. That was another alternative, is take all the color off, including the black and including the wands, because the wands split. They're done in circles. It's a Minnesota Mining Company material, and they're put on in increments all the way up. and those separate and leak.
A couple of things. Could Desert Water Agency maybe help us with this problem? It's a problem with the water. Would they maybe have a suggestion
I can certainly
on,
check
on
with them.
how to handle that? And the second thing, this man you speak of, are we paying him or is he coming from Parks and Recs?
He will be partially coming from our budget, and that was primarily why he was hired, specifically to maintain.
Half from us, or do you know
At
the
this point, I
percentage?
do not know.
The percentage.
I don't know the exact percentage, and that's part of what my meeting will be,
Then-
is to find out
Then
exactly
he
what
should
that
have a
is.
job description, and we should know what he's responsible for doing for
Right.
all of these things.
Right.
So
He
it-
has a job description, but it's a more general, what we need is more specific to public art and what that will entail, and the percentage of work and those sorts of details.
Yeah,
So
it could be
I
sent
do
over
hope
Ruth
to.
Hardy Park where we don't have anything, you know, so
Exactly.
we need to know a
Right.
job description and his exact responsibilities if we're paying for them.
As far as doing anything to alter the fountain itself, we would need, of course, permission. I don't know where the permission stops as far as the artist. I think it's in continuum. That if we wanted to change colors or anything on that fountain, we would have to have the artist's approval. Because we've talked about taking that off of there for 2 years.
Leo, should we send him a picture of the problem and
What it costs?
see if,
It sounds like it's costing us $2,500 every time we have to clean it. So if we have to do that every 6 months,
it's $5,000 a
Yeah,
year
it's a lot of
beside the
money.
running it,
Plus,
the electricity and everything else.
Plus,
It's-
there's an expense too of maintaining the bowl. The bowl leaks and has seeped through over a number of months. So it's not just the 2,500, and it's not, there's lots of repairs.
but in terms of what, in terms of trying to make the argument with the artist about changing the colors, I think that would be specifically, directly related to that. So.
Or if he has a suggestion to overcome that,
Yeah.
because he doesn't deal with that kind of situation in New York.
And even, you say M&M are the ones that provided this tape or whatever goes around
Minnesota
mining and manufacturing, right, M&M.
3M.
3M. Could they have some solution to the problem too? I don't know, but these companies have big research departments and spend lots of money on research. Could they know of some way to?
I will check back. I'll check to see what was done several months ago, and we'll call the artist. We'll do our work to see what suggestions that we can come up with and have that for you at the November meeting.
The purpose of using that 3M material was to avoid exactly this.
Well, we're not.
And we all know, because we have talked about it a long time, that they separate.
I think we need to put it on the artist to offer some solutions to it. I mean, if he
That's right.
did use the 3M material to prevent this from happening, then tell him, this doesn't work now. What should we
What's your
do? How
next
can we
step?
remedy this problem?
Probably did that just for the color.
And I was told that he did, see, I wasn't here when it was originally approved. I was told that it was done for color and also to prevent wear and tear, that it was going to be this long-lasting, it would last for years and on and on and on. That's what I was told by my predecessor.
One other thing, he put in an installation similar to this in Oregon, as I remember. Do you remember the film or something about that? Okay, yes, and I'm wondering if they have the same sort of problem, and if they do, if they handled it. Because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has found a solution to the problem,
Well, I think what they have in Oregon, though, does not have the masts the way we have them. The wands are on the top of a building, and when the wands spill, they spill down into,
you don't think it runs onto
the building is a few stories high.
Yes, it
The wands
is,
are all the way up,
right.
and it falls down into a pool that's on the side of the building, if I remember right.
Maybe we can put it
Okay,
been a
it's been a
while.
long time. It's been
I
5, 6
don't know if
years.
they- But I don't think there's a mast. All the equipment is on top of the building, and then the wands are on the side of the building, and they all just spill down into a pool at the bottom of the building, I believe.
You know,
And it may
who
be the
else we
difference
might
in the
check
water.
with is one of the pool companies, like California Pools and Spas. They must
Oh, we've
have,
done all
We've
that.
done all that.
you've done it, okay.
You know, what you normally get, and what I've even heard them say is, well, you live in the Coachella Valley.
There used to be a pool company that maintained it.
We'll try to get these answers,
See if we
at least
can-
so far, and see if there's anything we can come up with.
Would save
to-
having to keep doing
Yeah.
all of it.
And I'll find out where the maintenance guy is.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay. I just have a couple more things on maintenance. Jeffrey Fowler has replaced the golf club on Chairman of the Links, and so that piece looks really good. And we did renew Fritz Froshinger's contract to clean the Chihuli's for one more year, and we actually did it at a savings of about $487, and that was by choosing a different insurance carrier. Fritz will clean under the last contract the Chihuli's in the next several weeks. He is recovering from heart surgery, so he's stronger, he's getting better every single day, he's doing really well. But he will clean them about mid-November, and then again prior to our show unveiling. We talked about the Parks and Rec person, so we'll get on with that. And that's all I have.
Anything else under? This is beautiful. I mean, he did a really, really wonderful job.
Mr. Chairman, if we can move added starters up
You want to do it now?
and make a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion that we move the added starters up to accommodate the gentleman here.
Two gentlemen.
Two gentlemen
Motion to
here.
Put him on the agenda.
Oh, is that what it is? All right, I make a motion to put the two gentlemen on the agenda.
Because Mr. Barakian's come all the way from City Hall to talk to us.
I'll
So,
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we start at the beginning?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may introduce, last meeting, Mr. Barakian gave you a update about the Bellardo Bridge, and here with him today is Michael Atencio, who is with the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians, and he's here to talk about the requested proposal. Gentlemen?
Welcome, DB.
I believe there's a portable mic there if you want to use that.
His voice carries.
At the last meeting, I had mentioned a status of the Bellardo Bridge project, and I don't, at one of the project development team meetings for the bridge, Michael Atencio mentioned that they were entering into a contract for the artwork, and I had suggested that they coordinate with you all here, so that you were aware of what was going on. So,
Laurie, can you pull the chair away? Thanks.
and so Kathy was kind enough to include us on the agenda as an added starter, I imagine, and you guys were kind enough to do it. So, if I could, Michael, why don't you explain where you're at with the contract and what's being envisioned, and then we'll get some input from the Public Arts Commission.
From Colin Bay and one from Colin B.
She's not.
This is Ramon Road. Oh,
Chair has one page. Oh, that's Karen?
thank you. This is Ramon Road up here. This is Paul Canyon, right through here. This is Mesquite Avenue. This is Sunny Dunes. And this is Bellardo Road. It extends from Ramon to Sunny Dunes at this time. And then it continues on from Morongo over to Palm Desert. The proposal would complete Bellardo Road from Mesquite to Sunny Dunes, and the proposed bridge would bridge the Tuckwoods Creek. So this is the location of the Bellardo Bridge where it's at now. And the status of this proposal is we do have the consultant to do the environmental assessment, which is Jones and Stokes. We picked up the engineer to do the engineering, which is Dawkin Engineering. So with both of those consultants on board, we're moving forward. One of the things that the tribe decided to do was to do some artwork on the bridge. And we went out with the RFP and we received 2 potential clients to come back. And one of them is from, I have the name, forgot the names here. Strategies. Here. One is from Barb McKee from Surface Strategies, and the other one is from Jane Brer.
Well, it may in theory, but I don't think it exists.
I think he means.
From Jane Beeman from Desert Fine Arts Academy. What the commission or tribal council is requesting is that we wanted to get your input as to what is being proposed for this particular bridge. The first proposal is by
The bridge is going, I'm a little confused. Can you show us again on that map where Mesquite is?
Let me get over here closer to you. Mesquite is right here.
Okay, and Sunny Dunes is at the top,
Sunny Dunes is right here.
so the bridge will,
Be right.
it'll come in back of the new Colonel Sanders.
Yes, Colonel Sanders is right here. You have a subdivision going
Yeah,
on right here.
the canyons.
Right there. So it's located here. This is Rock Garden Cafe,
Right,
Magruder Chevrolet,
correct.
and this is the proposed bridge. And this is their visitor center at this location here.
Right, at the end of Mesquite.
Right.
And then Bellardo right now is in existence,
It's in existence
no, that I know, but down,
from here to here. It's not. It's just it's a real rough road.
Field,
It's-
right.
Yeah, you can't really travel it.
and then there is an actual road just below the manufactured home.
Yes, right through here. There is a road there, but it's not passable.
So
It's not
It's not paved.
It's not, none of that's, because I've been up in there and I didn't remember a road, so that all of Bellardo will be repaved and continued and then come back into
Right.
Palm Canyon?
Adjacent to Happy Traveler, where Michael was just pointing, yeah, if you remember, there's curb and gutter on both sides of the street, but there's no pavement.
And the bottom curve, way down at the bottom, the green, is that where it comes back to Palm Canyon?
Yes.
So it's right near the Fred Sands building
Will that be paid?
and Lions.
Yes.
Yeah, that's already paved.
But, I mean, that's where it'll attach and
Yes.
actually come back. And what is the small street, if I may ask, that, above it? Right there. No, the green. Yes, that.
Yes,
Morongo.
Oh, that's that little thing by Cedar Creek.
right.
Yes.
Now I understand it fully. Thank you very much.
So you have 2 proposals before you. This is the proposal submitted by Strategies. It's a lot of work in concrete that she's proposing. A lot of designs for the bridges, different styles for the bridge. And she has work on the walkway, in through here, and through here. And for the walls, she has a buffalo, a bird, and leaves and different type of prints that you have on the walls. I can just, I'll bring this closer to you and you can look at it.
Well, do you want us to just come over there?
Okay.
Did you say buffalo?
Yes.
That's indigenous to the desert?
No. What we asked for was samples
Oh.
of her past work,
Oh, I see.
and this is what she's proposing.
So this is an actual loan that she's done.
Yes.
Is she proposing any of these, or these are just, these are what she's, this is what she's done?
No. Yeah, this is what she's done. What we asked for were just samples of what she's done in the past. We don't know yet what is going to be proposed for the bridge. We're just looking for samples of her work.
This is all hers also?
Yes.
And is this the actual bridge?
No.
Or that's just something that
That's
she's...
just an illustration.
So do we know what the bridge is going to look like?
No, we have a general concept of what the bridge will look like. It'll be about anywhere from maybe 125 to 150 feet in length, maybe 70 to 80 feet in width, somewhere in that category.
I have a new way to get to Palm Desert.
They are suggestions.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Bridge railing.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, these are samples that she's submitting to us.
Of suggestions. that she
Suggestions of
has
what she's thinking of. The actual design hasn't been selected.
for the bridge
Correct.
itself, the structure itself.
Correct.
Michael, the tribe hasn't chosen which of the two artists they're going to use yet?
No.
And do you have another?
Yeah, we have one more sample. This is by Jane Breer, Beeman, from the Desert Fine Arts Academy. This is what she submitted. She's proposing to use steel plates as an example, and then take tile and embed the tile into the concrete. And she wants to use the school children from the city of Palm Springs, school district, to sort of take the tile and place it on the railings and things like that.
Is that just a person for scale?
Yes. Is this to give us scale? And this is supposed to be wrought iron, wrought iron, and this is supposed to be 1/4 inch steel, sanded and rusted out, as an example.
Pieces sticking out.
I believe they're samples
Plants.
of trees. Could be.
Excuse me, Michael, is it the steel that we're looking at, is that part of the bridge or some sort of landscaping as?
This part here?
Yes.
I would say is designed for, it's an architectural element, but it's not structurally part of the bridge.
Okay.
So it would be an add-on.
Yes.
And hers would be, it looks as if she would be embedding hers into the actual structure of the bridge itself. Or would it also be added? It's hard to, without seeing what the bridge is going to look like. Are you going to design the bridge around these proposals, or?
No, the bridge is going to be designed, and these will be added on to the bridge or incorporated into the design some way.
I think it would be similar to the concepts involved on the Gene Autry Freeway Bridge that we had talked about, where the artist would work in conjunction with the design engineer to incorporate those into the design construction drawings. The intent would probably be that it would be something readily attainable without having to do a whole bunch of additional structural work for the bridge, something that would be like that one incorporated into the concrete or into the bridge rail itself.
The reason I'm asking those questions, David, is because in the case of the bridge, the Gene Autry Bridge that we're talking about over 10, we know what the bridge structurally is going to look like. Therefore, it's somewhat easier to look and see how the elements fit in. If we're talking about the Dinah Shore Bridge, the scrap art stuff is just added on into the pillars on the interior of the bridge. It's hard. I understand what she's showing. It's hard to visualize how it will incorporate. In other words, is the whole bridge going to have geometric or forms that represent Indian heritage. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what the structure is like. I don't know if that's a problem for anybody else.
Well, we don't know what that bridge will look like. We just brought the engineers on and the consultant, and we're just starting to move forward. We wanted to go out at this point in time, we wanted to go out and get the artist now and bring him in and make him part of the team. So we really don't know what that's going to look like, but at some point in time when we get everyone together and we sit around and we start working on the designs, we have that artist person right in the beginning to work with this.
Well, we do know this, though. I mean, we know that it's going to be, a concrete bridge. It's going to have sidewalks on each side. It's going to have, it's going to be very similar to the Dinosaur Bridge, the freeway bridges, in terms of it will have, concrete approaches, abutments, a concrete face to the bridge that you could view from the wash itself. So we generally know what it's going to look like, but Michael's right. The design has just started for all this. And there was an original design that was done like 10, 12 years ago, and it was never completed. But we know basically what it's going to look like.
Will it be visible from Palm Canyon? Will it be highly visual, or will the project that it's going in that space block the bridge, except if you're right there at it?
When you're driving down Palm Canyon, when you cross the existing bridge, you'll be able to look up and see it.
You tell me where the existing bridge is.
Right.
Right past the rock garden, as you drive by, you could be looking.
Right where the wash crosses under Palm Canyon. It's the same wash. And
there's a bridge there.
Yes,
Yeah.
you go over it every time you go down Palm Canyon.
It's between the rock garden and
it's
the
such a nice bridge, you don't even notice
Highway
it.
111 or Palm Canyon actually goes across that bridge.
Right.
This is the Rock Garden Cafe.
Yeah.
Magruder Chevrolet. You pass it through here, you'll be able to see it. And this area, you'll be able to see it.
So the project that's going in there is not going to block the view from down below? Because I know
Five-Star
that
Canyon probably will block the view, but you'll see it from Sandy Dunes, and possibly in through here, you see some view of it.
Right, if you're coming down Palm Canyon, you look
gonna see it.
back, you'll see it.
Yeah,
Because it's higher.
yeah.
Right.
yeah.
What are you looking for from us? Advice on selecting the artists, or just some?
Basically, any recommendation that you would like to put forth, we'll take it back to the tribal council for them to consider. Whether or not you want to recommend an artist now, or recommend that we do something other, we'll take that recommendation back.
Do they have a particular time frame that they're planning to make a decision by?
I would say within the next 2 months, make it that decision.
But you'd like the artist to be on board so that they can work with the designer of the
Yes.
bridge.
We want to have all the development team members together working on the bridge.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
You haven't, the tribal council has basically narrowed it down to one of these two artists, is that the idea?
Basically, that's it.
Okay. So if I could suggest that maybe the commission may want to consider a couple of things. Maybe a specific type of theme that you guys wish the council to consider. Maybe you would want a subcommittee representative, have the tribal council consider including one or two of you as a subcommittee to work with them in either choosing the artist or to work with them in further defining the art itself. Or if you just want to kind of give have what they decide brought back to you for comments at a later date. I mean, those are some of the things you might want to consider in giving in giving the input to the tribal council.
Would you like a subcommittee to? Well, I mean, I'm in no position at the moment to say I like that and I don't like this, or I like this and I don't like that.
Well, I personally would like to just, if one of the designs makes us happy to look at, I don't see why we couldn't comment, or I don't know why we need a subcommittee. I have to say one thing about the tribal council, that everything you do very well. It's very nicely done, and you have what I consider to be excellent taste, so.
Thank you.
But if you have a subcommittee, I can understand having a subcommittee, but I just think it's a waste of time. That's my opinion.
Or do you all have strong enough feelings about these two presentations to, I mean, the final decision is yours with our input.
Yeah, let me real quickly, just the quick background is that this project is paid for by a federal grant that the city and the tribe teamed up to do the application with, was granted probably almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And there was a memorandum of understanding executed between the tribal council and the city council, which basically said, we're a team doing this. The assignment for preparing and shepherding the environmental documents, it was given to the tribe. That's why they've hired Jones and Stokes, and they're doing that. The environmental is kind of goes hand in hand with the artwork. The city is, in the eyes of the federal government and Caltrans, the lead agency on this. So we are entrusted with all the grant administration as well as the roadway and bridge design contracts. So that's where we are.
I'd like to clarify one thing, that what David is saying is correct, but the artwork is paid separately by the tribe. That's a separate budget, and the tribe will pay for all of that cost.
Am I missing something here? On the surface strategy, they're telling you estimated fees that looks like for consulting time, but not necessarily for materials. The other cost has all of that included.
Yes, when the RFP went out, what we requested, we weren't looking for the cost of the artwork that they were proposing. We were looking for the overall estimated cost for the consultant's fee only. That's why one is $125,000 and one is $36,000. But the $125,000, we just sort of separate that out, and we just go with the consultant services.
Consulting fees.
Okay, thank you.
Another alternative to what David said is that you meet by next month. I could hold off taking it to tribal council if they'd like to give you more time to kick this around and think it over. I'll come back next meeting. And
Next
your
meeting
month's
is November 13th.
November 13th, and come for your recommendations at that time.
I see heads going this way and this way at the same time. So evidently there are people in this room that feel very strongly about what they've seen, and others that do or do not. I mean, I'm very open to this. This is all a surprise to me. I didn't know this was coming. I didn't know that I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, we didn't know that either. When the Indians decided on something, we were told to move.
Yeah, I
move
think
on.
the casino's gorgeous, as a matter of fact.
Mr. Chairman,
What are your wishes?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I think that if people want to express an opinion now, I don't see why people couldn't go ahead and do that. I don't know what we would accomplish by waiting until next month and then doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Particularly if they're ready to go, I think we might as well
I
just.
don't know that we're going to learn anything. You're right, and what Beth said is true too. I don't think we're going to learn anything more between now and then. You're not going to give us any more finite plans. These are obviously her suggestions. These are Desert Academy's suggestions. So, who would like to speak?
Well, I'll start. I really like this from the woman in Denver. I think she's really captured designs that relate to Indian designs that I am aware of, and I think you're to be commended for wanting the artist on board when you start, because we heard about the project in Arizona where the artist got on board with that bridge
And could have saved them $1 billion.
and did save them quite a lot of money and made it quite a beautiful thing. And so I think that's wonderful to have the artist right on board at the very beginning instead of bringing them in afterwards with a glue gun to put things on. But I think this work looks exquisite. The design concepts and so on, I think it's exquisite.
Other comments? Harry?
Well, I do agree with Leona. I think just because the presentation's a little more finished, I think there's great value to the Desert Academy's idea, and it might be worth looking at. I think the Tribal Council, my thought is the Tribal Council needs to decide if they would like to have further presentations from these two artists, incorporated in the actual design. You know, do you want to go to the next level and develop your bridge design, and then take a look and give the artists, both groups here, a chance to incorporate their design into the actual finished bridge? So then you can really tell, and we can all tell what it looks like also. Or you can just decide as the council to just pick one that you like the best, you know, and then come back to us with a final design that's incorporated into the bridge. I think, you know, both have value. They're at such an early stage right now, you can't tell exactly what it's going to look like. We certainly don't know. You know, only the artists might have the imagination to do that, but even they don't know what the actual finished bridge is going to look like yet. I just don't think we know enough to give you much advice. I just think it would be better if either one or both designs are taken to the next step, and that's incorporated into the actual bridge design.
Okay, I'll take that concept to the Tribal Council.
What does everybody else think?
Beth?
Well, I look at this one, and I think of it as Creatures in the Canyons, and I see merit to that. My other self sees subtle elegance and very much the tribal council's work, the kind of thing that they present to the public, and it's much more Indian to me. And my favorite, and the one I really like and I'd like to be looking at, would be something that this person has done. But I agree with Harry that the other has merit and should be, you know, could be developed into whatever it's going to be. Right now, we have no idea what it might be, but we have already seen what the Strategies has done in the past, so we have a good idea as to what they would do. So at the present, my preference would be that.
Lori? Thank you.
Well, I agree with what Beth and Leona have expressed. I like the designs that are presented here as well. And I like the idea of working the Indian cultural into the artistic, and the idea of having the artist involved from the beginning. I think that's a great way of doing it. So,
Janice?
As much as I admire Jane Bayman and what she does at the Arts Academy and appreciate their design, I think that for this particular location, I like the other one better, partially because it's going to, I think, blend into the scenery, which is very natural up against the mountains, and you've got the desert environment there. I think that the other looks like it might blend in a little bit better in that setting.
Tracy? Oh, this is it? This is the presentation? It's.
I didn't hear where it's going, and I didn't see it.
Oh, I thought you came in on part of that. This is for the new Bilardo Bridge. It'll go across the wash. And the tribe has narrowed it down to these two presentations as to working with the artist to develop the bridge. And then one would look like so, and one would be representative of animals, tiles, a little more fun. This is much more serious and more elegant. So they've asked us to give an opinion as to what we think. Do you have an opinion?
No.
Sorry for being late, by the way. The only opinion that I would have is that it sounds like it's a joint project between the city and the tribe. Is that correct? And I think that it'd be a real good thing that if we all showed that we were working together, and if they wanted representation from the Public Arts Commission in any way that we could help assist in getting the project completed. As for giving my opinion on the two types of artwork, that's kind of difficult, like I say, without seeing exactly the way it all lays out as a bridge. But I think the number one thing would be is going back to the tribe and seeing what the tribe really wants to do as a community project. I think we should have some input and some assistance in there, and maybe work out, stepping stones to working towards other projects with the tribe.
But what I understand from you is you want our opinion now so you can bring the artist on board and do it from the very outset. So we don't have that luxury.
Well, don't you think he has a feeling as how we feel without putting it to a vote or anything, that he's listened to opinions?
Let me ask you a point of order. Do you need an official vote on this? Or, if you're coming before the commission, do you not need a vote from the commission? Or do you need just our opinions individually and take it from there? I'm a little confused. This has never presented itself exactly this way. We're used to working with, here's what it's going to look like, and this is what we propose. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little formative.
A recommendation is something generally that they always accept. The tribal council generally likes to have recommendations from a commission that they seek for their input. However, they will accept a consensus of opinion or their concerns from a commission without having to take a vote. So either way you want to go, I'll go with whatever you send me back with.
It seems like we have a closer of a consensus that perhaps the company from Surface Strategies is a top favorite, or at least the concept of their design. Mr. Chairman, if you haven't actually given between the two designs.
I like the frivolity of this. I think it's adorable. We're very familiar with Jane's work, and she does beautiful work. The mural, some of the other things that she's been involved with are terrific. I think in the final analysis that the decision should be the tribe's decision as to what best represents them. And if you feel that this is the correct, I'm not cadging my bets here. What I'm saying is, if you feel that this best represents the bridge and its proximity to your visitor center and so on, then you need to go with this. And if you feel this more reflects the work that the tribe does in so many other things, including the new casino, etc., where I know how much effort has gone into that, then you should go this way. One is very, very elegant. One reflects the images, as Beth said, of what's going on up there, and animals and so on. Although I think this is going to be perhaps reflective of that too. Perhaps by the time you're through, there will be animals on the bridge. There could be roadrunners in bas relief, or there could be bighorn sheep or whatever. So, it's just not buffalo. I like both of them. Like Beth, my happy side likes this a lot. My more serious side thinks that is absolutely exquisite.
The tribe has not seen any of this. So when we go with them, we'll go with the package and your recommendations or your concerns, whichever way you choose. Or there seems to be a consensus for one way or the other. That's the way it'll be presented to the commission, to the council.
I think what you're pretty much hearing, at least from a number of us, is that we really think that's exquisite, and we would not be upset if you did this. I think, am I expressing this well?
I think just that we trust the tribal council to do something that would be appropriate, and that we like both. But I think definitely we were hearing more kind of leaning towards this, but if they wanted to go this direct route, I would think that we would be open to looking at that.
It's interesting, I don't know if any of you picked up on this, but there is almost a deco feeling to those designs
Oh, yeah.
too, which is so Palm Springs.
Well, my feeling is that it fits in so well with the tribe, and it fits in very well with what goes on in the city, architecturally and artistically.
And I think there'll be other opportunities perhaps to use these kinds of concepts as other projects, as Tracy said, are developed in the city. Certainly the bridge, which wasn't Jane's, but the Dinah Shore Bridge is cute. I mean, it's
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah,
I wish they
those-
were larger.
They're
Those
too small.
mosaics are
They're too
really,
small.
really cute,
Way
really
too
nice.
small.
You can't see them.
Yeah.
And that's why I also ask about the visual, because from a distance, the visual impact is going to be important, and you really don't want not people to drive off the road, but you want people to notice something that is as beautiful and as expensive and so in the center of the city of Palm Springs. You want them to be aware of it, and I think they would. If any of you have taken the new 210 into Los Angeles, the simplistic beauty of that artwork that's been done on the abutments and on the sides and the walls, they're beautiful. The formations of the lines and the stones and so on, and that's much more generic than this. This to me sort of like strikes where it is. However, if you decide that you want something fun and cute and representative of the youth of the city, I don't think anybody in this room would have any objection to that whatsoever. It's very clever.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, perhaps I can at least prepare a letter for Michael to take back for, when is your next meeting?
Well, we have them every Tuesday. It just depends when I get all my information together, then I'll take it to them.
Okay.
You're probably looking about another 3 weeks away.
If I could take all of the comments and at least try and present it in a letter format that's informal, but at least reflects what the commission has stated today, at least that's a preliminary opinion of the commission, and perhaps as Michael goes through the process, we can keep it on the agenda for further updates, if that's acceptable to you.
Yeah,
I just had one other, I wanted to make something clear, or clarify something. In the beginning, I thought these two designs were decided on by the tribal council, and this was the last two designs the final choices that they had, they were coming to us. You're saying you haven't presented these two designs to the tribal council. Now, is the last thing I heard you just say a little bit ago. Is that correct? So the tribal council did not select these?
that's correct. The tribal council hasn't even seen these. I'll be taking this to the tribal council along with your recommendations and your statements, your concerns.
These selections were made by who?
No one made these
Who
selections.
narrowed it down to these two?
These were the ones that came in for, who addressed our RFP.
These are the only two?
These the only two?
Yes, out of 8.
Out of 8.
Wait a minute. Oh, you received 8 total, but they were not complete. They did not address your needs,
No, we sent it out to 8,
and only 2 came back.
and only 2 came back.
Ah, I see. Sounds familiar.
Well,
No, but usually we get back about 1/3.
Well, could we do something to help them out, give them a bigger list? I mean, if you only sent it out to 8, I mean,
But
would
you must have
or-
pre-selected those 8.
Oh, yes, we did. We went through like a whole list of artists who were familiar with bridge work, who were familiar with working with precast concrete, who were familiar with the engineering of these kinds of artwork, and we selected from 20 down to
Somehow
8.
had a feeling they knew what they were doing.
yeah.
Well, I think you ought to just take them.
No,
Oh, no.
we
No,
went out.
obviously.
We went out nationwide.
Because this is
Washington
Colorado.
D.C., Louisiana.
Well, I
Oregon.
think that if you only got 2 back, you're lucky that you got 2 that you could use either one.
Absolutely. I truly, I really think you've got a room full of people that like both of them, and it's a matter of what purpose you're trying to accomplish. I think there's definitely a feeling towards that as far as elegance is concerned.
Okay.
I mean, the casino is elegant. I mean, I speak for myself. I'm not speaking for the commission. But
it
it's
opens
really
November 6th.
plug.
Well, I think it'd also be great to give, the local high
So do
school
we.
students an opportunity to work on a project like this. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it has to turn out looking really good, no matter which way you go, whether it's the one represented up here or this one.
Is it high school?
It's you did
It's
say
not
high
high,
school
it's,
students,
no, it's the
right?
desert, the academy.
But I thought he'd said something about high school.
Is it just high school?
They would use
Oh, okay.
high school
For the woodworking.
woodworking shop for the metal,
Right.
Okay.
thing like that.
So it would involve elementary school, high school
Mhm.
children and students. I mean, I think would be great to be able to do something like, give them the opportunity to work on it. We already know how it helped those kids when they did the big mural by the swim
It was
center,
phenomenal.
So I think you just need to go and present both designs to the tribal council. That's my personal feeling, and see what they like, and then go the next step and get a design that's incorporated into and it might be from both of them, incorporated into the actual bridge, and then come back and let us take a look at it.
We will. I'll come back to you once tribal council makes a decision. I'll come back and let you know what that decision is.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you really, of the 2 that you got, you got 2 winners.
Okay? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barakian. Any other comments? Okey doke.
You want this added to the agenda for next month?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Heller.
Thanks, guys.
Um,
I love breaking news.
Let's go on to the relocation of the Camel Bench. Is there anything further there?
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, we are going to go ahead and request that the maintenance crew remove the bench, and we'll put it at the city yard until the visitor center is further along with their landscaping plans and other decisions that they need to make at the new visitor center location. We don't want to just plop it anywhere, and they have some further work to do in coordination on their end. And if that's okay, that's what we'll do.
Okay. Any other comments there? PSPS, who's our sub-chair?
I think I'm the chair.
You are, and the caterer.
Yeah, and the caterer. Well, I think what we need to do today is just decide on the theme.
Excuse me, Beth, last time, did we not talk about changing the dimensions? And I don't think we made a formal
Oh.
decision.
Yeah, we did talk about that. I don't know if but we didn't come to any conclusion.
I was thinking that, that you guys were gonna check on standard sizes.
We did a little bit of checking and felt that we'd like to leave things as they are. We didn't have a struggle last year with the sizes that have been stated so far, and you get kind of a varying degree, so it seemed to work pretty well.
And another thing that we were going to do, Laurie and I both investigated commissions at the various events, and we went on the internet independently, and a couple of them we checked the same ones, and we personally came to a conclusion that it's a lot of work. We have no way of controlling whether they sold it in the building, out of the building, or 2 months from now, and that for the number of pieces that actually get sold, that it's just not a great idea.
We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Am I not seeing, or am I missing it? Ah, there it is. We somehow, I don't know if we need, you have all dates. One of the things that we ran into a couple of times was that last line of the entry information must be original and completed in the last 2 years. We ran into that 2-year concept, and I wonder if there's some way we could punch that up, because I remember we had to have people come and pick up their artwork.
Yeah, they had them a couple of, like,
And the
4 or
first
5
year-
years old.
And the first year, one of the things that got into the show, I know, was really old. So I'm just saying, I think maybe we can just punch that up with heavier print. Can we do that?
What, make it bigger?
Either bold
I
or
can italicize it or something like that.
something to call attention to it, that it has to be within the last 2 years.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just also point out the change of the dates, the day particularly, in that the delivery of the artwork will be on a Thursday and the judging will be on a Friday. And the reason for that is so that we could avoid moving the pictures out of council chambers and then moving
And then
them back.
moving them back again. That's fine. Okay, then let's move on to suggestions for possible themes. You will have the list that's printed. I see, Beth, yours is in here, isn't it? I don't mean Beth, I mean Lori. Because
I think
These are
various,
last year.
various, these are from last year?
These are the ones that were submitted last year that we, and maybe a couple more that have been added on. This is the list from last year. You see star structures on there,
Oh.
crossed down?
Because
This is what we changed.
one of those was what you called me on the phone about, or you sent me an
Yeah,
email.
yeah.
Desert Treasures.
Desert Treasures.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
may have added a couple. This
And
is the one that
these are
Janice
obviously
submitted
from a
today.
publisher and editor.
I like Desert Treasures and all natural ingredients.
You like what?
Such a diplomat. One from each list.
Well.
Any opinions on this? I love this. Wish you were here. Because I think that's something that when people see what goes on in the valley, they all wish they were here. What else?
I like all of my suggestions.
In your name?
Actually, Lori had a suggestion, Divine Inspirations, wasn't
Yeah.
that one?
We'll probably get sued by somebody for bringing in the almighty.
She exists.
I had one idea, was the nature of desert life, because I thought it kind of related to nature itself and just also the nature of life.
That's nice too.
And I was working on one, but I couldn't come up with a way to word it. But I was thinking of trying to encourage artists to look at things in a different way. You know, I just didn't put it into words. You know, I couldn't figure
The
out.
eyes of the desert.
You know, because you just
Through
take a
the
look
eyes
at
of
it
the desert.
through, you know, your
Through
lens in
new
a different way,
eyes,
or
or-
paint it from a different angle, or just look at something. You know, we see the same type of paintings, we see the same artwork, very similar all the time, and it'd be a challenge to an artist to look at it differently. Try, you know, if you're gonna paint this scene, do it in a different way. I was
But
trying to think
be
of a
different.
way, yeah, something. I just didn't get the right words to come out.
New
That's a good
eyes.
way. But the one thing, though, we get more entries in desert landscapes, I think, than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to, I can just see us with orange rivers and purple mountains, but I understand what you're saying. The eyes of the desert?
Should we each pick a favorite and then put all the favorites in a
Or-
pot and
or
then
also,
choose from
do-
that?
Do you have any other suggestions? I mean, let's, there's no,
We've got a lot now.
how about calling it possible themes?
Yeah. Well, going on Harry's, maybe something like a different point of view. The only thing I'm
Desert
afraid
point
of
of
is
view.
you'd get everything with just all different perspectives, the same thing, but just shot at an
Yeah.
angle instead of being really
I
different.
like that.
Well, I don't know if anybody really follows. I mean, you get some that you can see were influenced by our theme, but everybody else is entering the work that they did recently, you know. So it would be kind, if you had 10 that actually said, oh, I'm
Well,
gonna do
that's the
this.
purpose of it, of course, is
Yeah.
that those are the ones that will be judged in that,
Yeah.
in a thematic
Looking
category.
in a different way.
Yeah, so you're not gonna have like all tons of artists that are gonna have a purple painting or an unusual perspective or
Why don't we
something.
call it themes like old times? Sorry.
Clever.
Could we possibly ask the artists if they enter that category, the theme category, that they give us a very brief, like just
Good idea.
a couple sentences on
As
how
to
they
why.
feel that
Sometimes
fits
they
the
do.
theme?
Oh, there were a couple of them that we got on the back. It said da-da-da-da-da-da, and this is why I did it. But most of them, it was just, you know.
I think
there's
that would
a
help
star and a
us.
palm tree.
Some of them already have the paintings done too, and they just kind of slide into the category. You know, I mean, nighttime painting of the desert is pretty normal. You know, last year it was Starstruck the Desert Sky, so, you know, it was probably just easy to slip it right into the category.
I think it's okay if they've got it done and it slips into the category, but I
Yeah.
think they need to justify, say, oh, I chose this because blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good idea. They could still, even if it were done, they could still.
Then you need to come up with a little quip that's going to fit in that box that you want to say to the artist.
How about enter theme here? That's what it says.
That's for my benefit.
Oh. Well,
Because right now, what you have in there is it's a separate category which includes two-dimensional work of any style or medium. That still needs to be in there, the theme needs to be in there, and what you want the artist to say.
I got a question.
Tracy,
You know that there's, in the background, there's also the artwork that's gonna be going into the Palm Springs webpage. Remember that they were asking us about that?
yeah.
I was just throwing some ideas around that instead of just having all photography, possibly we could use something to play both off, maybe the art show and the web page, do our own digital photos, showing people what people out there, what people that live here
Good
think,
idea.
the interpretation of Palm Springs. So the one category under the heart of the desert, how about if we had it under Palm Springs, the heart of the desert? And had people focus on Palm Springs because we are the heart of Coachella Valley and been here this long. Be kind of nice to see what the artist rendition of Palm Springs as the focal point of the desert here and how they interpret that, and then it could kind of shift over and go right onto the webpage, and that'd be kind of fun.
Palm Springs Focus.
We have a lot of artists that aren't Palm Springs artists, though. It's all through the Coachella Valley.
We can pick whatever theme we want, though.
What?
No, that, yeah, that's true. It would, for this category, they would have to have something that was Palm Springs.
But I mean, they could be doing plein air, they could be coming around, they could be painting the casino. I mean, people love to come visit the area and see artist rendition of Palm Canyon Drive, you know, with the follies and stuff, and, you know, you're talking about landscapes, well, how about
What-
cityscapes? I
why
mean,
don't
we
we-
don't have a lot of focus.
What
on
if we called it This Is Palm Springs?
Good, sure.
So then there'd be no doubt that it was,
You could
What
put the
what
word
about
Palm
Tracy's?
Springs in any one of these. I mean, you just put the word Palm Springs in front of any of them. So you don't have to be limited on what your theme is.
We have Heart of the Desert here, and if we put Palm Springs in front of it, I mean, Palm Springs, Heart of the Desert.
oh, I don't have a problem with it. It just, it means that they would have to, for this category, just if they've painted something, it would have to be something of Palm Springs.
Springs, right.
And if they're
Right.
going to create something, it's gotta be something
We
here.
give them, how many other categories that are not? 1, 2,
I mean,
3,
it's
4,
time to
5,
toot our
6,
own
7,
horn for a while.
8 other categories,
Yeah.
you know, you're down valley.
Yeah, yeah, and this way we can toot our own horn. Good point. What do you guys think?
And
Wish
then-
you were here in the heart of the desert, Palm Springs, all natural ingredients, that's a nice thing.
You
A
were
little
saying then
long.
use the pictures in the webpage, is that?
I think that would be wonderful.
You're-
I mean, I think people are
Afterwards.
so interested in that and the interpretation. I mean, we'd end up with paintings of the tram and paintings of, you know, the way the mountains are set,
Canyons and-
paintings of the front. You know, the paintings you're gonna get basically are gonna be all of those highlighted areas of Palm Springs, and they just feed in so easy with modern, you know, scanners
Technology.
and digital cameras. We can dump it all right into that website, and it would be fabulous.
If somebody wanted to
Doodles.
do a mid-century modern rendition or
And that could be
something.
part of the prize, you know? I mean, not that there's, you know, they're gonna get the monetary value when they win, but it'd be kind of neat that your painting's gonna end up on the actual Palm Springs website.
Website, and I think
We
that-
probably need to put a disclaimer in there that we would do that.
Probably. If we'd need permission to reproduce their artwork on the website.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but
Should we
that's
put
easy.
that
Who
in?
wouldn't want
Maybe
that?
not, maybe you'll just do a separate sheet that goes out with it, like with the release of liability.
Or could you wait?
To the
till-
winners.
Wait till the show's over. I mean, wait till you do the show and the judging.
I was just gonna
And
say.
then tell the artist,
Yeah.
you won, or you're in this category. We'd like to be able to put your painting on the website.
That's a good
But
idea.
there's another
Sign this
point
release.
too. We don't necessarily have to put on the website just the winners. We could pick something that we think is
That's
just
right.
absolutely appropriate and say, although you didn't win, we'd like to use you on our website. Would you let us do that and sign this release?
It might be easy to add then to the mailing that goes out to, you know, with all the application, just to have another
Yeah, that's like a
release form.
perk. That's an
Yeah,
added
don't
perk.
they fill out a form with each picture? And couldn't this be on the bottom? Your entry may be used on the Palm Springs website.
They use it on the television station, he always takes pictures of them and then rolls them over.
Do you want to do it then, at the very outset? How would your artists feel, Mr. Gallery? Would they mind? Do you think in general?
No, not at all.
It's
And
sort of
especially,
publicity.
you know, and when you go onto the website, you have to remember that the resolution on those photos that are going on there, most of the artists, what they're afraid of course, is when you throw their artwork out there, that somebody captures it and it ends up, and next thing you know, it's all over calendars and posters, and they don't have to worry about that going from the website because the resolution's so low on that. You know, we put it out there like email.
If you try to download it,
Yeah, try to
you're not
download
gonna-
it, it just comes
You're not
out,
going to
there's
get a
nothing
good
there.
reproduction.
Right, so I
So
would see
we'll
what they
we'll
do.
include it then on the entry. Good idea. Everybody, well, do you like Palm Springs, the heart of the desert,
Yes.
other than Janice? Here, I'll put it on here. Palm Springs, the heart of the desert. Now it's on your list.
The heart, not the art, right? And then did you want to say something in there for
The
them that they have to
Art of the
explain
desert?
something? Well, that's what one of them is. It says the heart of the desert and the art of the desert.
The heart. I think it's the heart.
H
Heart?
apostrophe. I think heart.
And then did you want them to explain something?
I just think if they just put in just one or two sentences, it's not asking them to do a whole lot. And
Well,
it-
we have to ask them to do it though, so I need you to tell me what you want me to put on the RFP, on the call for artists.
Do you have room to do that?
Not really.
What about on the form that they fill out when they bring the piece in? Is there room on the little piece that they submit to put a description?
There's not really room on either one of those. The release of liability has been changed and it's a bit longer.
It's
What goes on the
only,
back of the piece?
it's only applies to
Remember,
people
there's a
entering
submission, it
this
says
theme
entry 1,
category.
2, and 3, remember, and you,
Yeah. There's no room on there where you could just put a like PS? Okay.
It's really only the people that are entering the theme category. We don't need those sentences from anybody else.
Well, we can't hurt.
We should be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean,
In the heart of Palm Springs, we should.
Yeah, I mean, if they have a shot of El Paseo, we know that they're
we
not
could
We
put in there
know
something,
it's-
please give a 20-word explanation of why you entered this category.
and that's.
How's that? Something like
And
that.
that's really difficult for artists. You know that.
Then why do you
Because
want
they're
to do
better
it?
with brushes than they
That's
are with
right.
words.
Yeah, and you're gonna get some really far out there explanations on what they're doing. I mean, whew.
Why don't, we don't have to do it. It's just a suggestion from
Yeah.
Commissioner Kleinschmidt. You don't have to do it.
When
What
the-
did I do? What are they gonna have to do? Give it to you in like a written form?
Well, what we suggested was, what Janice suggested was to put it on, somewhere on the painting on the back. Just attach a piece to the frame or to the back, just saying, this is why I did it, because I love God Country and the heart of Palm Springs.
Okay, so what do you want to put then in the box there?
I don't
A
think
tw-
you can get it all in there.
Can you
Ma-
just add an extra sheet?
We're not supposed to look at the
And-
back.
and on that-
Because we're not supposed to
That's
know
right.
whose painting it is.
Yeah.
You don't want us looking at the back to see what
That's
they're
right.
doing. We're not supposed to do that.
But if you had an extra sheet that said if you're entering this category, give a one paragraph or two sentence, make it short, explanations, turn in with the piece of art, just like with all the rest of the forms. Or else, if it's too much work, just forget it.
Well, I know exactly what you're suggesting, and we
Yeah.
did run into that last year, because we kept saying, well, what does this have to do with Starstruck? You know, remember we stared at some of these things. In fact, I think we even moved one.
Well, I mean,
Because-
you could end up with a total abstract, and it'll be the nightlife of Palm Springs.
That's all right.
You know, so I mean, how are you gonna know that that's?
So then,
We're
what you're
getting
saying is
feedback.
just leave it to the judges that, yes, this is an interpretation of the theme, or yes, it is not, because it has to be in the eyes of the people that are beholding the artwork. And if they don't get it, then why are we choosing it?
Well, it does say on the form, the Arts Commission reserves the right to change the category of a piece if it feels the piece is more accurately represented by that category. I think the point of having a theme is lost if you're going to take anything into it and say, okay, that somehow fits the theme. If we don't believe it does, then I think we should just automatically move it to another category then. Otherwise, why even have a theme?
So,
Well, the
you-
theme is one category.
The
The
theme is
theme
one
is just one thing. Everything doesn't fit that
You're gonna
theme.
get about 10 entries probably in that
that's
category.
all.
It's the least.
That's what all this is about.
The landscapes don't have to fit the theme. The
Portraiture, the
portraits don't fit the
abstracts,
theme. The
nothing.
watercolors don't have to fit the theme. Just one separate
If
category.
they turn in a piece and say, this is Palm Springs, the heart of the desert, the theme category, and they say that's where they want their entry, then that's where they're put.
What are you gonna do when everybody wants to put their landscape in that category?
Well, we'll have to have a subcommittee go out and check where the landscape is painted.
You tell them they're on the wrong side of the street.
Do you have room to write, describe in writing?
Yeah, put that in there.
Where?
And then, if we're lucky, they'll understand what it
I'll
means?
just, the part that says this is a separate category, I'll just make that a little bit smaller, like the two bottom boxes are, right? A little bit smaller font. And then, what did you say to put in there?
Describe in writing. Describe.
Yeah, how about-
Explain in writing. Explain in writing, okay.
How about explain
I think
how
explain
your
is better
work
than
fits
describe.
the theme?
Pardon me?
Explain how your work fits the theme.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Explain how work,
Your work.
Relates to theme or fits.
Fits is a small
Word, doesn't take as many letters.
FITZ.
explain why your work fits into the theme,
How?
or how?
How?
Explain how
How.
your work.
Fits
The
The
theme.
theme.
Okay.
in
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
15 words.
They won't remember.
Well, you see, I was walking down the street one day, and I was inspired by, I bumped into Beth Arterbury, and
We're gonna get, because it does.
Two shots of tequila later.
because it does.
It's two-page explanation.
Excuse me, why did
That's
you
okay.
climb Mount Everest?
Okay,
Because
explain
it's
how
there.
your work fits the theme. That's all you want in there.
In writing, you don't want them to come and tell you.
Fits the theme in writing. Okay. Yeah. I'll-
In
I'll
writing.
Sit around.
Yeah.
Good luck. I won't be here.
Where are you going to be?
Tending my sheep.
Are you going to New Zealand again?
Yeah.
All in favor of moving the show to Christchurch? Anything else on that? I think it's a good theme. We felt good about the one last year, and I feel good about this one.
Even if more people enter, it might be better because it'll spread it out more. It seems like we had things we had more oil entries last year than anything. It'd be nice to have more in the theme category.
You're right. Next, the Chihuly unveiling ceremony. Do you have a lot of information for us on this yet? Because there's so many loose ends on this. I wanted to find out if you want to do it or if you want to just push it off. I can give a quick sub-report.
I think there might be two parts. Your quick sub-report, Janice's meeting with a local company, and then I could follow that up with my meeting with them as well, and brief conversations with airport staff.
We had a sub-meeting for the Chihuly unveiling. We've determined that it needs to be after the first of the year. There's no possible way that we could bring this to fruition before then. And just to get the clearances and everything else that go on at the airport, we started working on the size of the list and the number of people that would be invited. We came up somewhat around the 300 mark, and that includes donors from our donor list, other key people. We felt it was very, very important to invite city councils from throughout the valley, the Riverside commissioners, people that use all the tribal people that use the airport on a continual basis. And when you start adding it all together, it comes to a fairly sizable amount. We talked about catering and other things, which are things that we can work on as we go down the line, perhaps to have it underwritten, etc. The most important thing is the format and how we're going to handle it for the actual presentation of the pieces. One of the things we talked about from the beginning was, of course, the plaque or plaques representing the donors of $1,000 and more. Another was an audio presentation that you could go up and trigger and hear what it was for those people that don't know that they're looking at a very phenomenal group of very fine art. So all of these things are being hatched and discussed. I had lunch with Fritz Frausiger yesterday, and we discussed some of this at length, just the two of us, and how Chihuly Studio might help us. He has some ideas that they did at the Tacoma Museum of Glass. He's going to follow through on a couple of those things, and that's pretty much where we are. We're sort of covering all bases, but we haven't pinned it down yet until we get an idea of how we're going to honor the people who've given, and then the rest of it's, and the audio. Those are the two biggest things, if in fact we're going to do the audio, and I want your feelings and opinions about that. To do video, I think is self-defeating. I mean, high maintenance, high expense, all kinds of things that could go wrong with it. So at that point, Janice suggested that she had a source in town for possibly doing the plaques. Janice?
That source is Digital Laser Etching. They're in Palm Springs off of Research Drive. And you might have seen them down at Street Fair if you've ever gone, Village Fest. If you've ever gone down there and you see they have large stone, they have tiles, but they also have larger pieces of stone that they can engrave anything on. They can take a photograph. The most intricate detail comes off on the stone. So I went over and visited them. They've got a couple of really high-tech machines for etching. And then I called Kathy to see if she wanted to take them over to the airport and take a look at the setup so that they could make some recommendations.
And I did meet with them, and we went to the airport, and the paper that's going around right now is from their website, and I just wanted to give you an idea of some of their work. You'd have to actually go on the website to get a better feel of the different materials and what have you. In any case, we went to the airport. They took some pictures of the pedestals just to have an idea of the size of the plaques. And one of the things that we looked at and agreed on is the placement of the plaques, whatever they look like. Is that one, they would face as you come up the stairs, up the concourse, so that's what you see when you look this way. And then on the other side, as you exit the doors.
No, we said on the north and the south.
North and south. We don't-
That would be north and south.
That's
Yeah, but
west
if you
and
come up,
east when you come up the escalator.
you wouldn't be looking at the plaques, they would be on the sides.
As you come up the escalator,
They'd be on the sides, away from you.
we want them to be on when you come up the escalator.
No,
No.
that's east and west.
No. We said that from the beginning because we don't want to detract from the
From the
pieces.
artwork.
The people walk around the side and then they can see, I mean, the artwork is the most important.
So you do want it east and west?
No,
No.
north-south.
North,
North
south?
and south.
I
North,
thought that
south.
was, I must be confused on my directions.
East, when you come up the escalator, you're coming from the west.
Going east.
And on the other side where the gates are the Alaska gates, that's the east. What we want is on the north and on the south. So when you look at the Chihuli's,
That's
you'll
all you're
see
looking at. You
that-
do not want
You don't want
to,
And then I
See the
asked,
plaques.
I also
Okay.
asked Fritz about doing a better placking, and he said, absolutely. He says, all those what's on there right now is just a label.
right,
So we
right.
want something very permanent that would tie in with the other saying what the artwork is and who the artist is.
Okay, then that was my misunderstanding. I thought you wanted them to be seen by people as they get off the plane or go up to their boarding areas. We could change that, it's no big deal.
It's
The
not a big
size of
deal.
it is the same. Where we kind of left it in our discussion is they're gonna think about some ideas and we would need to get back with them with the concept of the design. It would be a custom design, so incorporating wings or whatever that needs to be. However, they're going to need a lot of input as to what you want that design to look like. So we would probably need a subcommittee meeting to sit with them to start to etch out what that design could be. As far as materials, as far as the actual engraving, they can do it in such a way that the plaque would be removable and easily names could be added as such. The size could be measured to the largest amount of names and you know, all of those little details can be worked out. We did agree that simply elegant would be best as far as materials. They did take pictures of existing plaques so that whatever the design is will tie in nicely with what is existing at the airport and not, you know, would tie in with the Chihuly pieces as well as with what is existing as far as plaques are concerned. So we do have a lot of work, and they're going to need to meet with the subcommittee because it's hard to explain someone else's thought process or imagination. And with that, they may need to have actual pictures of something that you have in mind, if that's accessible.
May I add also to that, when I was talking with Fritz yesterday, and he knows, you know, Dale's wishes so well, he was very enthusiastic about not using brass and bronze and silver and gold, but to do it in a very neutral palette like stone, so that it doesn't jump off and yet it's still there. You're still recognizing the people, but not detracting from the architecture or the artwork itself. Also, he made a very interesting comment to me. He said he would think that these people that have contributed and came forward and stepped forward so far in advance would want that recognized by not adding names. That this is a finite list. These are the people that stepped forward and made it possible to have the Chihulis at the airport. Once it's up, there might be a whole line of people that'll say, oh, gee, oh, that's really nice. I want my name at the airport. And in a sense, two hats.
That's a good point.
Let's be greedy and let's get more money, but at the same time, these are the people we need to honor, not the Johnny-come-latelys who didn't do anything for us, ignored our letters, and did not even have the courtesy to respond. And we sent out many more thousands than we got responses from. by
Yes.
letter and at the party that we had, the cocktail party, and invited people. And even people that came to that party didn't contribute. They came, they drank, they ate, and they left. So I think he made a
He
very
made a very
strong
good
point.
I still think there's one more letter that needs to go out on that before we close it.
The one we discussed.
Yes.
Now, it'll be the third letter.
But it should be the very last one, that
Yeah.
this is the last opportunity.
I think you're right. Should I discuss it, or do you want to just talk
No,
about it
I
privately?
mean, that's up to you.
We felt, and we've discussed this many times, is that we wanted to give the tribe a chance to be part of this and to have their names included at the airport on this project. They have not responded to us. We've sent them an initial letter and then a follow-up, very specific letter, and also a couple of attempts to make appointments to talk with them.
My only concern, Leo, at this point is, as you were describing all the things that still need to be done in order to make this reception happen, I think it's really, really extremely important that we do this before people leave again. So we're talking February, March. We don't have a lot of time now. We've only got a few meetings between now and then because the January one's dedicated to the art show. And I'm just wondering, I mean, anything that I think, I'm concerned that anything else that we have to do is going to add that additional time that we don't have. I'm wondering if we need to split up and maybe have more than one subcommittee to break up some of these duties. I mean, is our original subcommittee able to handle all of this? Because it sounds like there's still a lot we need to do before we can even put the reception together. Am I misunderstanding?
Well, what I'm hearing is that you could have one part of one committee do nothing but the preparation of the party itself.
That, or what, I don't know which part of all of these tasks is going to take the most time in terms of whether it's the designing and working with the people that are going to etch, or whether it's this obviously the reception is a big issue as well, or the letters, or what. I mean, it sounds like we've got several things going, and if there's
Well,
anything we can be doing to help
The letter
spread it
is
out.
just one letter.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's just one letter, and that's,
Oh, okay.
or a direct contact to. My only problem with that is, at this point in time, I can't see them being that interested with what's coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I can't imagine them devoting a great deal of time to this. I may be wrong, but maybe one more attempt, not by letter, but by direct confrontation and making an appointment and going in and sitting down and saying, we haven't been successful doing that yet, but perhaps there's a way of doing it, and just make one more stab at it. That's just one little separate thing all by itself, one issue. The biggest time consumer is the actual plaquing and the audio. Do we want the audio? If we don't want the audio, then all we're dealing with is plaquing.
Yeah, I think that's going to really delay it. I'm concerned about that.
If I may, the concern expressed by airport staff is that the audio may get lost in the other audio that goes on at the airport. You have announcements that are being made. There's a concern.
Okay, and then the one other thing, which again I discussed yesterday, would be to have somewhere either on the west side of the first column, or on a column to the side, or on a freestanding pedestal, a small explanation of who Dale Chihuly is. This is the artist, this is Dale Chihuly, and a paragraph explaining what it is they're looking at. We got something before from Fritz. He said he would be happy to work on it, hone it down into a much more workable.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we also talk about the possibility of making that a collateral piece that people could carry away with them? A postcard?
Oh, yes,
If I may.
and I have to bring that up too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did bring that up to the airport staff as well, and there was a concern because right now they are dealing with the concern of the sheep, the bighorn sheep, where they have a rack stand that, when we were there the other day, was empty. And so the concern is, one, litter, two, staffing it, supplies, and it's just, you just don't have the people that are going to be there making sure that it is continually filled with the material that we're talking about.
However, that said, do we want collateral there? That should be the guiding influence. I mean, in other words, do we want something that they can take away with them? If we don't, then why knock ourselves out? If we do, and we want this as a souvenir that people can take, send, use. This is a souvenir of Palm Springs, or to ballyhoo the airport and our fantastic sculptures, then we want it, and we'll figure out some way of keeping the thing stocked. It was something Fritz asked about yesterday. He said he would love to have it photographed professionally at night, which is when it's absolutely at its most breathtakingly beautiful thing, where a professional photographer can, block out the background, and what you see is these 4 sculptures glowing at night, and it would be a very, very magnificent, which we can still do, whether we do a collateral piece or not. It would be great for the website, it would be great for publicity, it would be great for, for 1,001 things, even if we don't do it for collateral.
Just something you might want to think about is, if you look at the postcard scenario, and if you go into print and you do the work involved, and one, if it is a postcard, and like you said, people could send it out, now all of a sudden you're giving away postcards, and you have people right in the airport that are selling postcards.
We discussed this last
right?
meeting, that was a problem, yeah.
The other thing is, there's going to be a majority of them when it's warm that are going to use them for fans, and then they're going to throw them in the trash.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, so I have found that when you put things out and when they are free, they're all over the place. It ends up costing you, it's amazing how much money it ends up costing you in staffing and to fill them. And
How do you all feel about that? I mean, if that's how we feel, I'd still like to have it photographed like he suggested, because we certainly can use it for our own purposes.
Well, even if you photograph it and do kind of like what we did with the mural and have some pictures of it downstairs for people that aren't able to go up, to kind of point them in the direction of where the art pieces are, I think that would be not a bad idea. I'm not really hung up on the postcard idea, because I know we sent out a lot of that when we were originally fundraising and trying to, gather the funds. We sent out a lot of that at that point, but.
And another thing, if you're talking about an accompaniment to go along with the Chihulies, I mean, what people really enjoy seeing is a video on glass blowing.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
but that's,
If we could put something like that together, I mean, the idea to say this is what you're looking at, or an explanation, or what, when I've done glass shows, people know basically what they're looking at. I mean, that's a gorgeous piece of glass. I mean, you go to Las Vegas, they don't have a sign saying, look at the ceiling, it's, Chihuli's glass. But a little offsite, if we could ever get to the point to have a little video on the glass blowing when he brings those things out of the furnace, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it is, but that's what we feel it would be the most difficult thing to pull off. And I think for the purposes of our opening, it's something that if we decide we want to do it down the road.
Oh, so we're only talking about just for this opening, the reception. We're not talking about ongoing.
I think what we need for right now is to get the plaques up and to plan the opening.
There you go.
Just those two things. I get a general consensus that we'll drop the audio and we'll drop the postcard concept.
Well, if you're talking about just for this reception and the opening, well, then I think printed material's fine. I wasn't following along evidently. I thought you were talking about having on site, having postcards there all the time.
We were.
People- Okay.
You missed the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we were. We absolutely were. having it as a continuing thing. But there seems to be much less interest in that.
Okay. Are we talking about the reception right now, the opening, or are we talking about ongoing?
We're talking about the reception.
Okay. So reception, if you want to go printed material, I would agree with you on that. For reception,
For what?
were you talking about something for them to take with
No,
them?
no,
They've
no,
already
no,
donated,
no,
they
They've
know.
already done, they've
Yeah.
given, we don't need that. We were talking about the postcards, it's combined, Trace.
Okay.
The postcards were for people traveling to have as a takeaway from the airport, from Palm Springs, to mail and to send on a continuing
Right,
basis.
okay, I would be
Nothing to
against
do with
that.
the opening.
If you would like to do a postcard to give to people that come to the opening, when you're doing this party and they want something to leave with, then I would be for that, if you want to do that.
If I may, I think the invitation is going to be somewhat of a postcard. Maybe that could be the piece that we're describing. And I just have to throw out there, if we're talking about the opening, is security. Huge, huge issue. And the invitation, as it is mailed out, will have to be very, very specific. And phone calls are going to have to be made. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work because the security measures at the airport will be very strict, and it will entail, if you RSVP and you bring a guest, that guest name has to be on the list. If you're not on the list, you're not going to get through the maze of security. So we're going to have to be very specific on the invitation itself about security.
I would imagine that in itself is going to make the time frame, that's going to be difficult. And, finding the time frame in terms of when do we send out the invitations to give us enough time to
make phone
take care of-
calls. And,
yeah, exactly. And have we been given any dates at all from the airport?
No, and we'll work with them. I mean, we intend to pick a date and a time of day where there's the least amount of traffic or flights coming in perhaps or leaving, if there's a window in there.
It'd be so nice to have in the evening.
You-
See it
Oh,
lit up
I
at
think
night.
that's what we're all
Yeah.
shooting for.
And we
Pardon the
did
expression.
discuss as far as, hors d'oeuvres and champagne. We wouldn't have a bar or anything, but we can probably serve champagne.
I think, I should ask the other members of the committee, do you feel that you want an expanded committee, a second committee that would plan other things? Do you feel that we can pull this off?
Is there anyone else to speak with about the plaque beside the one? Did you come up with some other?
The only other company I contacted was CM Engravers, which is our local
Yes.
company, and he's going to get back to me. He was going to take a look at things, and they needed some time to mull this over in their brains to see. And beyond that, no, I have not checked to see if there are any
other
other
The
local
other people
companies.
that do a lot of that is
Sam
Carmichael's
Vision. Oh.
also.
I was thinking Sam Vision, I saw something about them. They do a lot of glass etching, so I don't know if they could.
And Carmichael's is all lucite, which we felt would not be appropriate because of the elements. And it wouldn't go with what the sculpture.
I think the reason Janice and I were both a little comfortable with, or more comfortable with digital laser etching is their ability to take any material. So the actual material they're able to work with, and they have the equipment to come up with the design. And that was my main concern when I talked to CM, and if we talk to others, is do you have the capacity to actually design the plaque? Not just take your standard plaque off the wall and attach it to the pedestals.
How do you feel? The question I asked.
Well, then we have the two. When we'll see, is it C&M or C&J? When will they
CM.
get back to you?
Though they want to meet with us, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, so they're not going to
No.
prepare anything. They want to meet with us. Well, then let's meet and meet with both groups and see. We thought maybe there'd be something in Redlands or Riverside or San Bernardino too. There are some big companies over there.
I didn't go beyond our borders.
Okay.
I think that unless we are dissatisfied with what we can get here as an option, I'd like to keep it local.
Well, that's fine.
Just because
That's
it would
fine.
make it a lot easier for us logistically.
If
I also agree, because we're a city group, that we need to use city people.
city people, sure, keep the money local. I'd like to see some work of this digital. You know, there's just their address, like, but do you know of any place in town that we can go and see anything they've done?
Maybe they could bring that to the
They
meeting.
could bring something, I'm sure.
Maybe they could just bring something from their
Something.
website or something that they have in their shop.
Because then we could,
The most-
be a little more intelligent in
Right.
our
If it's the
questions.
subcommittee, I think we could probably go over and visit. If it's the whole
Sure.
commission, we could probably ask them to bring some samples.
Let's just do the
Sure,
sub
so,
first.
okay.
When do you
sure.
want to get,
Whenever,
next week,
sure.
Janice?
That's fine. I've been over there and I've already seen it, but I'd be happy to go
Well, no, but they
with
still
you.
want to be with us. They want to pick our brains and work with them. So
Okay.
what day?
I can't do it on the 30th. I have to go to Riverside.
Okay. Wednesday, the 29th?
I can do it then.
Morning or afternoon,
I think that,
which is better?
I don't think it makes a lot of difference. It doesn't matter to me.
What's your phone number, Janice, and I'll call you at
We'll
home.
settle it afterwards then.
Okay.
Okay, and as far as the committee, let us see what else is involved, and then if we feel that we need help, I know just the number I'm going to call. Any other questions about this? We're pretty clear then what we're going to do. No collateral, no audio, no video. Is that WRIGHT? And we will have the reception and opening sometime probably towards the end of January or the beginning of February. Well, we could do something for that night. I said at the end, perhaps the end of January. Well, okay, then I'll turn it over to you. Oh, that's right. Are you talking about video on a permanent basis?
No.
You mean for that night?
Sure.
No, I don't think that's a big, I don't think it's a big problem. And Fritz is very happy to supply us with all kinds of stuff. So I don't think that's a problem at all.
It's an easy thing to do, and it'd be so, it ties it in so, well, it just ties it in so great. I mean, when you can really see glass blowing, I don't know how many of you have
Well,
seen.
there's a whole litany of things that Chihuly has available, from the opening of the Glass Museum to Chihuly over Venice to all the
I
stuff
don't mean
that's
that.
in his.
I mean just the technical glass blowing itself, not a
Like
whole
what we showed in the
documentary on
fundraiser.
Dale
Yeah.
Chihuly doing.
We showed that at the fundraiser.
Yeah, the glass blowing
Yeah,
itself.
we showed both. We
Yeah.
showed that and Chihuly over Venice.
Fine, but
So we
whatever
can-
you'd like.
Yeah, we can do that.
Mr. Chairman, before we move off this topic, I don't think that anything was decided about another letter going out, but my feeling about that is you had just finished commenting that the people who made that initial donation should be honored for stepping forward, and I think that goes exactly against what you had said.
How do you feel? Should we pursue the tribe, or should we not?
My feeling is I think it's over, it's done, and wrap it up and move on.
I agree.
Well, they've never responded.
How many times did we send? A couple times.
Well,
2 letters and 2 direct contacts. At least I was told it was direct. It was
but
prior to
we
my
don't know.
administration.
We don't know.
I'm open. Harry?
We still need money?
Well,
No,
it's paid for. We came up slightly short, but we took it out of our own funds.
it's not so much the money. It's really not the money. It's not offending a very important part of our community. And we don't know if there was ever,
Who saw it?
Well, if you don't know, I think you need to make a final
that's,
contact.
Well, I kind of think you need to make a phone call
That's what I said.
and ask the person and, you know.
I asked David Aiken too, because he was going to have a meeting with Richard, and he may have had that meeting for all I know.
The last time I discussed it with him, he indicated to me that he never got the meeting. But I will follow back through with him again.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's back to the saying, it's before my time, then I guess. I mean,
Give him the
if,
last
the way
one.
it sounds like, 2 letters went out and a bunch of calls go in and nobody returns a call, to me, I would accept that as we're not interested. But I have no problem with if the commission wants to make, Leo, I mean, it'd be perfect as you were the chair. There's going to be a whole new feeling of working with the tribe. Give them a call and say, hey, do you want your name on there or not? We're out of here. We're done. We're wrapped.
Good. We'll follow through.
that's all.
I'll
That's the
give you
only
an
one,
answer.
no other letters.
Between you and Richard Lamondis?
Pardon me?
You're going to try to arrange a meeting between you and Richard?
Yeah, I was going to do this once before. I was going to take somebody else with me at the time.
Why don't you have Will do it?
Okay.
I mean, that would be a pretty good thing. I mean, if you're looking at it from offending a group, maybe it'd be best coming from the mayor. That this is a done project, it's all funded, it's finished. If you would like, you name the tribe on there. Here it is, and be done.
Good idea. Okay. Anything else on this? Okay. City photo contest.
We don't have anything other than, Tracy spoke with Troy a couple months ago, and then he told me what he said, and I don't remember. Do you?
No, I'm over 50. I don't remember. It bounced back and forth, and basically it's going back to the same thing for the website for the city. And they wanted to get a library of photos and have it go out, and basically a library of photos that they could change photos and do something for the website. But this is going back to the same thing. If we do some of our artwork where we've got that going on the website, how many photos do we need? We didn't really want to, we talked about it, we didn't want to get into, don't give us some busy work. We don't need busy work for us all to run around in circles. So I'd have to go back over my notes, unfortunately, because I was late, I wasn't able to get my papers, but I think we've gone back and forth and we were able to help out. We would give them some assistance so I thought it was a nice tie-in with this, with our
Yeah,
art project.
As
yeah.
I remembered, I'm getting little flashbacks. It ended, your conversation with him ended with, well, they would do what they're doing now, and if they needed our help, they'd give us a call.
Basically, yeah. We just didn't, we didn't offer to jump in there and do a whole big project.
No, we all decided that was counterproductive.
I think we were just waiting to hear from them. Can we just take it off the agenda?
Sorry with me.
So we don't have to keep trying to
But I like
have
the idea
flashbacks and remember what we
of
were
trying to
talking
tie
about.
the art in. If you want to contact them and tell them that that's one of
That
our
would be kind of a neat
intentions.
thing. They might be really excited
Yeah.
about that. It'd be
Yeah.
a whole different side.
Yeah.
And the paintings are a softer look than just straight photo after photo after
The
photo.
photos we have on there now are really pretty.
Yeah?
The new one.
Good.
The new website's up this week.
Is it up? The old one was awful.
Did you help her with it? No.
They're all her paintings.
All the photos.
Put the pictures of my sheep on there.
Okay, Tockwitz Corridor, how did that end up on here?
It should be removed from the agenda.
Thank you. Okay, anything else there? Added starters.
There are no additional added starters.
Reports of staff?
No.
Any other staff? Commissioner comments and requests.
I had one little thing, unfortunately, before I got here, you probably talked about the restoring the artwork and doing all that, and is that going
Yes.
along all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think it's something that we should think about, saying that we do have funds? Do you think it's something we might want to think about moving some money into a separate, account for maintenance of the artwork, instead of waiting and then all of a sudden having all the artwork needing to be restored and running around real crazy and drawing the whole countdown? To me, it seems like we might want to think about something on a long run, maybe at a later date, on a long-term maintenance type of a project.
I believe in the budget, there's a line item for maintenance, and whether we need to be more specific and perhaps create another line item for strictly maintenance and not lump it together with anything else. I'm sure that we can do that and take a portion of the budget as it is now. I hope that when we move through the RFP process for the inventory and assessment of all the pieces, that might give us an idea of what kind of a budget we need on an annual basis for maintenance. And maybe at that point, we can then be more specific that a percentage of the budget is dedicated to that. It is sort of like that now, maybe not as technically outlined as you have put it, but there is a line item for that.
I was just thinking that if we had a project going, we wouldn't have the art getting to the point that it is now, that we have to do this major work. So it'd be great to get the whole collection squared away and then have this fun and have an like we were talking about, an annual
Right.
type of a maintenance.
Right. And I'm hoping with that maintenance program that we do get to that point, so that it's pretty clear that things will not fall apart anymore.
Other added? I don't know if this is appropriate here, the benches for the fountain.
We can certainly put that on in the November. I believe that's what we had discussed for November.
Something for the agenda?
Moving
I'll-
benches.
We can talk about it
To the fountain.
when we prepare the next agenda.
Yes. Places for people to sit to view.
Right, and we talked about shade. Are we going to take that up?
I think we can't, I think we need to talk to it
on
as an
the,
entirety, and we'll do it on the next agenda.
And that's when you're going to put in about the inventory of the pieces and what needs to be done and so on, so we make a
Yes,
plan.
we will continue to have the maintenance issue on the agenda and work through the various pieces as we go through. My intent is to hopefully have a draft RFP for you to review to make sure we have all the components of what that should be.
Thank you.
Any other added starters? Any requests? If not, I'd be happy to hear a request for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Any opposed? Thank you. January.